All right, today I'm going to bring you another interview that I did with Andy, but we also did a collaboration with Dom Claire, a professional dominatrix from South Africa. And we sought her out because we were looking for feminine doms that carried the same philosophy that Andy and I do when approaching dominance, of building people up, of loving and caring for our submissives, and using dominance as a way to facilitate growth for that submissive. So in this interview, we look at the perspective of masculine dominance versus feminine dominance, and also some of the difference between lifestyle dominance and doing it as a professional. And throughout that, we drop in a ton of techniques, including how to handle a brat, the difference between punishments and punishments, how to facilitate growth for your submissive, and helping them become more assertive, not so much of a people pleaser, and ways to make them feel better about themselves. We also talk about some mindsets for the dominant around accepting your submissive for who they are and helping to cherish and honor that, but also helping them to grow into something more. We talk a little bit about how it feels to be the dom and setting boundaries as the dominant. We talk about dom space and what that feels like for each of us. And we also even talk about degradation and the proper way to do that. Or, Andy degrading babies sometimes.
Does that mean you sucked as a baby? No, you were perfect as a baby. Wow, I'm doing such a shit job as this baby. I can't even walk. I can't even feed myself. I can't even pay
Andy,
my
what kind of dom are you? Freaking degraded babies now. But overall, this interview is about a philosophy of helping your submissive to grow, to loving and caring and cherishing for them, and the more gentle side of dominance that always isn't portrayed, especially when it comes to pro doms or feminine dominance, because those can often be seen as mean, aggressive, cold, and not every dom is like that. So check out the interview and then head over to Andy's channel and Dom Claire's channel and give them a subscribe if you really enjoyed the content. Without further ado, I'm Brandon the Dom, and let's dive in.
Ladies, gentlemen, we are joined here by Brandon the Dom and the amazing Dom Claire. I want to give a little backstory behind this episode. So Brandon and I have met a few times, done a few episodes. We've met a few female doms and we've researched a little bit. And there's quite a few out there who maybe don't care as much about their submissives. And there's plenty of male dominatrix or dominants who are exactly the same. We went on a little journey to see if we could find someone who seems to have a lot of love in their heart and really loves what they're doing and is really careful and gentle and loving with their subs and all of that. So we did some research. We found you, Claire. We think a lot of dominants get sort of like a bad rap in this community. We found you. We'd love to know you and maybe some of your philosophies when it comes to dominating and, what you like to do.
Firstly, I'm a firm believer in advocating for mental health and mental health in BDSM and BDSM for mental health. I think it does wonders and it's a lot of very healing for people. And then, of course, there's some just personal ethics of integrity and honesty and transparency that goes hand in hand with what I do. So I try to bring that into my work.
Yeah, and I watched an interview that you did, because you've done some interviews with some of your submissives, on your YouTube channel. There was one interview you did with one of your subs, Alan, who's a legend. We've talked about Alan a bit. He's an absolute legend. He said, the overarching sentiment in the community, as in the BDSM community, is that submissives don't have value as such, or that being submissive makes you less of a person. I've seen that and I've heard that, and I've even had some submissives come to me and say, essentially, I don't think I have high self-esteem. Can you degrade me? Can you treat me like shit? Can you just do whatever you want to me? And I don't deserve any better. So I guess have you had some submissives like that? Has that been your experience where some people just look at BDSM as the dominant is basically abusing or talking down to or belittling the submissive, and there's no reciprocation or love or positive energy there?
There's definitely been subs who've come from a background of that, and I think based on what they see on my website, they see that they won't get that they'll be treated as a person who's got value and respect. So there's definitely people who've come with that trauma background, but there's also people who just are into the degradation. I actually did a workshop tonight on humiliation and degradation, so it's hilarious that you're talking about that right now.
How do you navigate humiliation, degradation, dirty talking, all of that while still doing it with love?
That, I think the aftercare is such a big thing with that. And also incorporating ownership language. So instead of calling someone a good toy, say, you're my good toy, or you're such a good toy for me. I called it the Holy Trinity tonight, where I said the Holy Trinity is like the degradation, the ownership language, and then incorporating praise into it as well. So exactly in that sentence of like saying, instead of like saying you're a dirtbag, whatever, you're such a good toy for me. Like it's the praise, the ownership, and the degradation all in one go.
You, Claire, said in a video, most porn, especially on sites like Pornhub and like mainstream stuff like that, it shows BDSM in a very degrading way to like break the person down, especially when it's like a female dom to a male submissive. Oh my God. Like that's just like straight up abusing the guy and all of that. But when you like to do it, you like to do degradation in a way that like affirms the person, makes them feel good about themselves. I guess what's the difference? Like, is it just literally the praise thing and that ownership language?
I think it's also the tone and the eye contact, and they can genuinely feel the care in that. It's not just being mean to someone for the sake of being mean. It's they can pick up on the energy that I'm putting out there, and that I think makes a massive difference.
I wanted to ask a little more about your philosophy and intention behind dominance, because part of the reason Andy and I wanted to have this podcast is because we've seen a lot of that other version where it's complete degradation, and it seems like there isn't care or love and intention behind it. And so when we found you, we seen a lot of you uplifting your submissives and a lot of structure around helping them grow as people. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about that philosophy behind your domination.
I don't know. I really care about my subs, and it's beautiful to be able to hold space for someone and facilitate an environment in which they can go from someone who might be super awkward and shy or something like that to someone who grows and becomes really confident in themselves. And it's just magical to be part of that person's journey, and it's beautiful. And I got hooked on that, and I've often said to people that I view myself as a healer. Like the work that I do is deeply healing for people. So it just aligns with me viewing myself as a healer, then that I get to be part of this person's journey where they just grow and become an even more awesome person.
Because you do like literal mentorship with people. Like on your website, you list that you do coaching, like you coach people with their goals and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the development dynamic, which you can compare to like kinky life coaching. Because like normal life coaching, you don't get to like punish someone. Like I get to do that, and I get to reward them.
You are very professional with your doming, whereas like Brandon and I will date or have sex with people that we're doing BDSM with. But for you, it's very like, do you want to maybe talk about what you do? It's very like, it's not that it's non-sexual, but like you're not having like penetrative sex with them. You're not getting undressed and all of that.
Yeah, I'm very clear on my boundaries. It's stated on my website. Like I don't get undressed. Like my feet might get undressed for a foot worship session, but that's about it. I'm very strict on my professional boundaries. They're just part of my identity and my brand, and it's very much about making sure that I'm comfortable as well, so that I can give my all to my subs, and that's just part of what makes me feel comfortable.
Yeah, and I've had sessions like that too, where it's like I don't take my clothes off, and I tell the person beforehand, I say, we're going to try something different, especially if they're very new and inexperienced, like maybe the first or the second time that we play together. I will literally keep all my clothes on, and I will just say like, I'm going to almost enter this like professional role of like looking after you. And I find that helps me focus on them a lot more and what I'm doing and caring about them and all of that. Because obviously I'm not getting as horny, like literally.
Yes.
Is that been a boundary for you? Like you don't want to get too like turned on because you're trying to focus on the person. You don't want it to become too sexual, which might sound wild to people because people would say BDSM is sex, but like, yeah, I guess how do you define it?
In the beginning, I used to get turned on by my work, but I don't anymore at all. Like it's just a professional boundary for myself to not, because I do feel that it takes away from the focus of having the focus on the sub. For me, it's all about the sub and prioritizing their well-being throughout the whole experience. And I don't want anything to detract or take my focus away from that. So that's also been a professional boundary that I made with myself.
I think it's also important in this conversation, like even as the DOMs, like we also have boundaries and limitations that we have to speak up for. And it's usually easier for the DOM because we're kind of facilitating the situation. But sometimes, especially I think in our shared mentality of where we're focusing on the submissive, trying to facilitate a great experience for them, we can sometimes forget our own boundaries or limitations because we're like, oh, if I do this thing, it'll be good for the submissive, but does it feel good for me? We were talking about, degradation earlier. I have a specific boundary around degradation that I won't do it if you're using it as a way to reinforce a negative self-image. I will only do degradation if like you're doing work to actually make a better self-image for yourself and it's something that you enjoy. But yeah, I'm probably going to mix in a lot more praise, ownership, that trifecta that you're talking about, to make it more empowering. So, that's just an example, but I think anybody that's stepping into being a dominant, don't forget what your own boundaries are and what you're willing to do for the submissive.
Yeah. And I think it's important to figure out those boundaries before you try and deal with the submissive. Just like setting up a simple, like, yes, no, maybe worksheet for yourself, like listing things in those columns of like, yes, I'm so keen on this, or I'll maybe do this, or no, that's an absolute no-go. I think it's a simple exercise, but just even writing it down really helps you figure out what those are for you.
Yeah. Something that I did that's kind of similar to that when I first started learning BDSM is I basically assumed everything was a no for me until I'd given myself a little bit of time to think about it. So like the first couple of people that I tried some BDSM stuff with, I had some ropes and I was like, hey, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. You don't know what you're doing. Do you want to try the ropes together? And they were like, okay. And so we tried that. And then in the middle of one of my first ever sessions, they asked for some stuff. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I do that. I don't know what that would look like. I don't know why you want me to do that. Like, I think it was something like she wanted me to slap her face or something. And I was like, I don't understand that. And so rather than just go, yeah, sure, slap and then deal with the consequences, like I basically said, let's try that next time. And then I was able to go away, do some research, Google it, be like, why would someone want me to slap their face? Like, what is that? Isn't that abuse? And like research it a bit and look deeper, and then I could try that. I found that served me pretty well. And I try and say the same thing to any women that I'm dating or playing with is like, assume something is a no until we have a little bit of time to think about it. Or if I ask you something, we're going to stop. Like, I'm not going to keep touching you and make you turned on because then you're not fully rational. We're going to stop for a little bit and I'm going to ask you, like, would you like to try this thing? And I feel like that's a decent way. So it's like you're saying like, no, yes, maybe. And I like to just assume a no until we think about it.
Yeah. It's actually the Tantra space uses the concept of a full body yes. So if it's not a full body yes, then it's not. If it's not a full body yes, it's a no. Which is very like black and white, but it also helps you really check in with yourself and does it feel good in my mind and my heart and my gut? Like that's the 3 check-in points that you do. Is it like, yeah. So, because you can rationally think about something and say, yeah, I would like to do that, but your heart or your gut might say no. So then if it's not full 3 things saying yes, then you shouldn't do that day.
Yeah, and I think that also helps illuminate where maybe your resistance might be. Like it gives yourself some curiosity, like, okay, maybe I'm on this maybe line. It's not a full body yes, but like, where is the resistance? And maybe it's, I don't understand how to do this. I don't feel like I'm going to be safe. I have some bad emotions around this. I have trauma around this. You can kind of dig around and find, okay, what is the blockage here? And then you can address that if you want. And eventually it could turn into a full body yes. So like Andy was talking about, like giving space and time to investigate that.
Yeah. Yeah.
A resistance that I found that comes up a lot that isn't something that I ever really thought about when I was first getting into BDSM is submissives putting pressure on themselves to do a good job. I find there's a lot of like insecurity and like overthinking from people that I date where they're like, oh, fuck, I hope I do a good job. I hope I'm good at this. I hope that I'm pleasing him and all of that sort of stuff. And you don't necessarily realize that unless you check in with them and say like, how are you feeling? Or like afterwards, like, how was that? And they go, oh, did I do a good job? Like, was it okay? And it's like, you did a great job. Like, I'm the facilitator. All you need to do is show up and like use your words and tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. But Yeah. Have you, Claire, felt that some of your submissives put like pressure on themselves to like please you to do a good job, and almost to the point of like not quite enjoying themselves because they're too caught up in the like neuroses of pleasing?
Absolutely, yeah. It's happened sometimes. I've seen it really more happen with my femme subs, the
Mhm.
female subs who tend to get more in their heads about it, and the people pleasers, regardless of their gender. The people pleasers are big on that. They just want to be told that they're doing a good job and make you happy. And yeah, so
Yeah.
it's a big
Yeah.
one with it.
What do
Yeah.
you do in those moments when you're aware of a submissive people pleasing or like overly trying to be good for you?
I often do a grounding exercise with them. Doesn't matter where we are in the scene. I will just do the deep breathing with them and connect with them. I'll like, if it's an in-person session, I'll like hold my hand on their chest and breathe with them. So we connect that way. And I will just reassure them that they're doing amazing. Like they're just exactly as they are, welcome, and they're doing a good job regardless of what that looks like. So just
Yeah,
that
because
reassurance.
they're entering a space that is very unfamiliar to the average person. Like BDSM itself is just this big, scary, like confusing thing to a lot of people. And like, yeah, a lot of people in the middle of it are like, what's going on? Is this okay? Am I doing a good job? Like, what will other people think? What do I think? Like, is the Dom happy with me? Like, especially if you start introducing other things like a little bit of like rough play or spanking or anything like that. Sometimes in the middle of that, the submissives can feel like, fuck, I must be doing a bad job because like I'm getting spanked, or I must be doing a bad job because of this. I find like praise is just like the butter on your toast, the butter on your sandwich. Like you have to slide it in there. I can't even imagine what a BDSM session would be without praise. That said, there are a few people that I have, met, dated, played with who've told me like, yeah, I tried BDSM and like the guy literally just essentially beat the shit out of me and never once told me that I was a good person and told me I was bad all the time. And like, yeah, I don't like that BDSM stuff. And you're like, was there no praise whatsoever? No, there was just constant like degradation and you're bad and this sucks and you're not good enough for me. So you got to slide in that praise, guys and girls.
Yeah, slide in the praise everywhere. We all love praise. The Dom loves the praise too. Give everyone praise.
Yeah, what
I
do you
love
think it would be like for the Dom? If you're just like not praising, you'd be getting no praise back. I need my praise. Like I have a praise king. I've said this to people. I have a freaking praise king. Like you guys probably do too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love hearing, like, that's what gets me going and like makes me so happy with the scene, is if the sub was happy with the scene.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people realize that. Like on the surface level, people look at domination as like, oh, you have complete control and you get to do whatever you want. And it's like you. But in reality, a lot of times we're like facilitating the session for the submissive to have a great experience, and we're getting
Yeah.
really fed on that. I lean much more like pleasure dom focused, and so seeing a woman light up because of the things that I'm doing and getting months of pleasure and enjoying themselves, like, yeah, that lights me up too. So I want to hear some praise on the other end as well.
Yeah, I want to see a smile on the face. Yeah, it's almost like we put our heads down and we're like, "Can you please like pat me on the head and tell me I'm a good Dom? Like, tell me I'm doing a good job." I'm not even joking. I have literally done that. Like in the middle of a session, I've been like, "Can we pause? Like, are you enjoying this?" And they're like, "Oh my god, this is great." And I'm like, "Can I lie on your chest and you caress my head and tell me that I'm doing a good job?" And like, most people are pretty happy to give that.
That's so wholesome.
And then I'm like, all right, we can get back into it now. Like we're ready to go again. Like, thanks, I needed that. I just want a little break and a little love. Like, yeah, because sometimes, do you guys ever have this? Sometimes when you're going really deep on a session, sometimes I feel like almost, I don't want to say lonely, but like there's an element of I'm alone right now. Like they're in their own little world. They're in subspace. They're in the middle of enjoying everything I'm doing. And I'm just here thinking about what I'm going to have for dinner. Do you guys ever have that like disconnect?
Oh yeah,
They're
absolutely.
so deep in it, and yeah.
It's, and I could be thinking about the most random things, and it's such a mundane thing, and then I have to pull myself back into the moment, like focus on the person.
There's some guy like naked, tied up, you're like spanking, and you're just thinking like, oh god, like I really got to pay my taxes, like, and he's like, oh yeah, harder, please, harder, and you're like, yeah. God, what am I gonna do next week? Oh, I'm gonna see my friend. Yeah, okay. Like I've had that. But I mean, that's any job, right? Like Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess your job, and I guess what we're doing, but especially for you because you do it like professionally, it's almost like your job requires a lot of focus and being present, like maybe more than other
Absolutely.
jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, because when we're in a session, I have to be the anchor for the submissive. So the sub can go and float off in subspace and have the bestest time, but I have to be grounded and focused and present and the anchor so that they can come back down to earth.
Mm.
I can also float in dom space, but at the same time, I have to be grounded still
Yeah.
so that they can come back.
Yeah, I say it's like clicking over. You allow yourself to click over like into Dom space, or like when I do primal play or something, like clicking over into that primal headspace a little bit. But at least for myself and like building skills as a Dom, I had to like click over a little bit, allow myself to be in that space, and then pull myself back so that I knew if I ever needed to, I could pull myself back and didn't get lost often at one of those spaces.
Yeah. I'm just curious, what does dom space feel like for you two physically?
Holy shit.
This is a good question. Part of it is like an immense satisfaction, and there's this like moment where I realize like I really do have ultimate control over this person like in this moment, and there's both like an immense like wow, this feels great, and it also like wow, that's an immense amount of responsibility. And so it's both this kind of like fear and excitement all at once.
Amazing. Yeah,
I like that. For me, it's so that, but gratitude so much to the point where I could cry. I've cried a few times in sessions where it fully clicks in my head what you're saying, where I'm like, holy shit, this person is like literally tied up in my bed, blindfolded, like they can't get away. Like they've tried to resist on the bonds. Like yes, they can use a safe word. Yes, they can say stop. But like, Jesus Christ, they've like literally just given themselves like to me. And in that moment, I'm like, this is some deep, wild, crazy stuff. Like, so much of being alive as a human is like feeling all these fears of vulnerability, being afraid of rejection, being terrified of getting hurt, terrified of like being used, terrified of all of that. This person has stuck all of that fear aside for just a moment in time and said to me, I trust you, and I trust the universe. I trust existence. I trust life itself, that I'm going to be okay, that this will be okay. I'm literally like putting my hands up and exposing myself and saying, I trust you. And like that responsibility, like I feel that so deeply. Like I said, sometimes I cry happy tears. And I'm like, holy shit, like I'm going to pause for a second and just like really soak in this person's like naked, vulnerable body for half a second and just be like, okay, like how can I give them the thing that they wanted? Because they're giving me something insane and incredible by just trusting me with this. And I want to give them something beautiful back in return. So yeah, that was such a good question, Claire. Like responsibility, love, gratitude, like those are kind of the feelings that I feel. And responsibility, probably the biggest one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
You should interview us. That was a good question. God damn. I'm curious how you answer this question. I'm really curious. So one of the women that I'm dating right now, she asked me a bunch of questions to ask you. She's very excited when she heard that we were talking to you. And she said, I would really, really, really love to know about the energy she connects with as a female dom. Does she use her feminine energy or her masculine energy to dominate? And which one comes naturally to her? Do you even think in terms of like masculine versus feminine?
I do sometimes, but that is an interesting question also because I identify as non-binary. So it's I feel like I have a balance between both energies. I lean easily towards both. It's so interesting. I don't even think about it really all the time, but I think with there's certain things that will evoke the masculine energy, and then there's certain things that will evoke the more feminine energy. I'm trying to think of examples now, but there's definitely a balance there, and both being used there in the scenes.
Brandon, do you have an answer to that question?
Well, we were talking a little bit about this before we got on the call, but partners that I have lean much more feminine. And so I usually show up with a much more masculine energy, but sometimes that dynamic will get flipped even like mid-session. And I think, Andy, you were giving an example of like wanting to be cuddled or like patted on the head, like held. There'll be times for me where like I want that nurturance, that feminine energy there, but then it also feels like there's this caregiving part. And so they bring a little masculinity there. And I think that helps to soften me a little bit. So I'm not coming, full 100% masculine, very extreme. And it gives a nice play or dynamic to that.
Yeah.
I think every human has like balance of masculine and feminine, like yin and yang. We tend to like think in extremes, like this is a woman, this is a man. And then we tend to play out or exaggerate those traits, especially men. Men do this. Like, I got to be hyper masculine, alpha male. And like, I don't know if you had this, Brandon, like, did you have a sense at the start of BDSM of like, I have to be super masculine. Like, I can't have any of that feminine energy. Like, can't have any of that stuff. Like, I came into it like hyper masculine. And it took me a while to add in more of the like gentle, caregiving, looking after people sort of energy.
Yeah, I think there's a part of me that gentle, caring energy is like natural to me. And I think I stuffed that or like, like, don't do this. This is not part of being a Dom until I really understood dominance later. And like the way I always portray it as leadership in the relationship. And I'm like, well, part of being a good leader, part of being, a king of a kingdom is caring for the people that you're leading. And I'm like, so that can absolutely be a part. And I just had to learn the balance of it rather than putting it in a box and not having it come out.
Yeah. Claire, like when you came into this, did you, like when you first started this stuff, were you from the beginning? I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you have like preconceived notions of like a Dom has to be like this and I have to do exactly this? Or did you kind of just like figure it out as you went?
I think I definitely had preconceived ideas. I thought DOMs were supposed to be super hard and sadistic as well, and like I started out that way too. But then I kind of had to figure it out for myself as I went along because I didn't have any mentors or access to mentorship over here. So I had to figure out a lot of it for myself, and it was a lot with my own healing journey that evolved, where things changed, and I just kind of became more my own Dom rather than trying to adhere to a certain image of a Dom.
There's also like rules in the BDSM, like I say rules, but like, yeah, like rules in BDSM, in the BDSM community, where they're like, a Dom has to be like this, or a Dom should be like that, a sub should be like this. And I got caught up in a lot of that, a lot of the labels and stuff like that. And like you, I thought a Dom had to be, I don't know if I'd say sadistic, but like definitely not super cold. Cold is the right word.
Yeah.
I thought and I thought that about the word professional dominatrix, which like, is that the label that you'd use for yourself, Claire?
Yes, absolutely.
I thought professional dominatrix means, I'm going to say this in a funny way, she's a fucking bitch. Like that's what I thought it had to be. Like she's just straight up a bitch, and like you come to her and she's just like a bitch. She's dressed in like full like lycra, like latex or something, and she's just like, get on the bench. And he's like, okay, mistress, like sorry. And then she's like, she starts hitting him and he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And she's like, fuck you, piece of shit. Like I don't know. I thought that's what professional dominatrix means. And then at the end of it, he leaves and his self-esteem has gone down and she gets money out of it. And like, that's the exchange. That's why we went looking for like loving dominatrixes and like found you. Cause like, yeah, there's a weird stereotype there. Professional dominatrix hates people, hates men. Do you hate men, Claire? Don't say to that. Don't say to that. No, okay, like genuinely, yeah.
I don't like people that much in general. I don't know that I could do my work ethically and honestly if I did hate men. It doesn't mean that I, in general, trust and feel safe with them, but I don't hate men. And I can't hate men when so many of my clients are men and then do right by them.
Okay, can you please go deeper on what you said before, like trust and safety? Gee, this is something that I don't think about as much because I'm a man and I'm bigger than all of my submissives. Like, yeah, how do you balance safety for yourself? Like you remaining safe in a session?
My vetting process plays a really big role in that. So I've formulated my application process in a way that the questions that are asked tell me a lot about the person's intentions towards me. So I can easily tell when someone is just viewing me as like a kink dispenser or trying to objectify or sexualize me or the experience versus when someone is being genuine about a relationship with me. So my vetting process helps me weed out the stuff I don't want. And then with the intro session, that also helps me get a feeling of the person. And I always trust my gut with that. And from there on, they're welcome to come to the dungeon. And then I have to trust them the same way they have to trust me. I haven't really ever had issues though.
Do you prefer to have ongoing, you said the word relationships, like multiple sessions with the same, do you call them client?
Yeah. I prefer having a long-term relationship or dynamic with a person where we have multiple sessions every week, not every week, but like monthly and so on. I find it builds a lot deeper, and the sessions, you can push further with the sessions and you learn more about the person, and it kind of becomes more meaningful and deeper, and it's just beautiful. And that's where the journey is with this person, where you can facilitate the healing experience for them.
Healing seems to play a big part of it for you, and it does for me and for Brandon and I as well. Are you going into every session with that mindset of like what is your mindset and your intention? Do you set an intention before every play session?
Most of the time, yes. It depends also on the person and where they're at in their journey and their goals and expectations. So if it's a new person, for example, or someone who is either new to me or new to the scene completely, then exploration might be the intent and goal. So then it's just a gentle exploration of different things and sussing it out. And then the deeper we go, the better we can go. So then I can start working on specific things like their confidence or their people pleasing and saying sorry too many times. Then I can start working like towards specific things and having a specific intent. For some, I might even go more on the spiritual side of kink and like include more spiritual elements for them because that's part of their journey. So it depends on each person's journey, where they're at, but I definitely do have an intention for each scene, yes.
Okay, would you mind giving like an example of, let's say you feel someone has a lot of like people-pleasing elements, and like you said, they say sorry too many times. Like they keep saying, oh my God, please, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Like to the point where they're not okay and they're just racked with guilt. How would you start sort of like untangling that and helping them with that?
I try to combat it and by saying, just reaffirming like, hey, you don't have anything to say sorry for. Like if they say, sorry, I'm being annoying, like I just say like, no, you're not being annoying at all. You're worth my time. Like it's okay. I'm here for you. So I validate them and I tell them, you don't have to say sorry. And then sometimes I incorporate some little punishments. So what works with brats especially is if they have to drink water for every time that they say sorry unnecessarily, because they hate that. And with one brat recently, the water drinking didn't help with her. She said sorry as she was taking a gulp of water. So,
Such a bad thing to do.
So for her, I started saying, okay, for every time that I pick up that she's saying sorry, that she's not supposed to say sorry for, she has to put a clothing peg on her tongue for 1 minute. So that's sometimes the punishments start working there as well.
Yeah. Do you always like when you punish, I guess, what is the energy behind your punishment? Because a lot of people hear the word punish and they think back to like parents smacking them as a child with like anger and hatred as they're doing it. Like the word punishment comes with so many connotations of violence, hate, anger, rage, and like a dislike of the person in that moment.
So I make a clear distinction between a punishment and a punishment. So punishment is something that the sub has like a love-hate relationship with, that could be something as simple as like a light spanking. And then a punishment could be harder spanking, for example, something that they genuinely don't like doing, or like writing lines. And the punishments I dish out whenever, just because I'm a sadist and I'm having fun and I want you to be weird for a minute. So, and then the punishments are only for actual transgressions. Like if they missed their bedtime the whole week, then I will give them a punishment of like 30 minutes earlier bedtime for 3 days. So the punishment has to fit the crime very much so that it actually works. If they're speaking badly about themselves, then I might tell them, okay, you have to write affirmation lines like 100 times. So it's not, the punishments that I do are always to help them grow and be better, rather than just break them down or punish them harshly. It's just more focused on uplifting them.
Corrective behavior.
Yes.
Yeah. I love how your version of punishment is like, I'm trying to help them with their sleep, and I'm trying to help them affirm themselves and love themselves more. This motherfucker won't love themselves enough. I'm going to like help them with that. I do the same shit. Like I don't do it as a punishment, but I do it with my clients where I'm like if they come to the coaching and they keep being very negative and getting caught up in beating themselves up, I'll be like, all right, 5 reasons why you're a great human being. Or if they're like, no woman will ever love me, I'm never going to get a girlfriend, I'm like, right, 50 reasons why someone would love you. And like, it's not a punishment, but it's like, yeah, Brandon, you said like corrective behavior or like reframing almost.
Yeah. I usually give them out as assignments, so I don't frame them as punishments, but I'm like, okay, you have an assignment this week. Like I have a submissive now that she was struggling like loving herself. And I was like, you know what? I think I have an assignment for you this week. I'm like, every day I want you to write a note of something you love about yourself, put it on the mirror, and then I want you to send a picture of it to me. And she's had to do that for the last 2 weeks. So anytime something like that comes up, I do it as assignments. I do punishments every once in a while, but they're very rare and in between. And it's like a major transgression. And it's trying to delineate, this is a value that we both hold, and you're not following the value. You're not being the person that you say you want to be. So I'm going to make this a clear distinction in your mind. And those rarely ever happen. But when they do, that's when I would use a punishment.
Yeah, one of the women that I'm seeing right now, she sent me this like meme that she saw on Instagram that just said, BDSM torture scene where you force me to like myself. And she's like, is this you, daddy? And I was like, yeah, kind of like. I guess maybe coming from the other side of things, like a few of your boundaries, Claire, because you on your website, you list all of your boundaries, which I freaking love. So before people even meet you or do an intro session with you, it's like, here's the things Claire will not do. One of them that you put is degradation aimed at identity. Another one was making a submissive cry intentionally. Another one was like body shaming them. Those are all like self-esteem kind of things, right? Like you're trying not to lower that person's self-esteem.
Absolutely. Yeah. Those are just hard limits that I knew were hard limits. I've never tried it even. Like I just knew that it's not something I ever want to do. I don't want to break down this person's identity or self-esteem. I only want to help them be and grow and feel good about themselves. So those are 3 very important.
Claire, I'm wondering, I know for myself, so like speaking for myself, I see like an immense power in being the dominant to be able to facilitate that journey for a submissive. But I see that I am only able to do it now because I went through that journey myself of building up my self-esteem or making myself better in different areas of my life. And so I'm curious, did you hold these views the same, the views that you hold now? Did you hold them in the beginning, or, what was the journey for you in growing as a dom?
There were some things that were that way from the start, but definitely a lot of these evolved over the years as I went through my own healing process as well. Kind of the same as you then, with the same healing process and just seeing, but okay, these are not. And also from experience, not just from my own healing experience, but also from dealing with different subs and seeing how things can impact them. Yeah. I'm like, whoa, no, this is not something I want to touch on.
I think especially the like body shaming stuff and like shaming, like you said, degradation directed at identity. That ties into what you were saying before about using, I think you said the word possessive or ownership language. So I want to make this distinction really clear for anyone listening who doesn't understand what we're talking about. So degradation directed at someone's identity would be like saying, you suck, or you are a piece of shit, or like you are a slut. But what we instead do is say, you're my little slut. And that might seem like such a tiny little distinction of like, you're just saying the word my. And it's like, yeah. What you're saying is in this moment in time, for me, in this play session, you are almost like role playing as my little slut. But you are not a slut as a human being. That doesn't mean you're a bad person as a human being. You don't have to go out there into the real world and like judge yourself as this thing. I think that distinction is really key. But I have had a few people that have come to me for BDSM play and they say, yeah, my last dom told me like, I am a slut. Like you are straight up a slut, or you're a bad girl. I think that's the biggest one. Like you're a bad girl or a bad boy can really start to get in someone's head. Like if you aim it at them as a human being.
Yeah.
I think there's also a, like when you're adding in that possessive element, them being the slut or whatever you're calling them is empowering because it's the behavior that you want in that moment from them. And so you're like, you're doing it like, this is really great for me. But the second part of it is allowing them to be fully human. Like we all have these other parts of us, like being a slut or whatever. And what I'm doing is affirming that in you. I'm seeing your full humanity, this part that everybody else says is bad and is not okay to have. I'm saying, yes, I want that. It's beautiful. Please keep doing it.
Yeah. I fully agree
like
with that.
part of
That's
the
actually one of the things that I said at the workshop earlier tonight is like the ownership language just means that you're holding this, you're seeing this person in everything, the full state that they're in and welcoming all of it and saying, this is good. I like this. Let's play with this. And that's beautiful.
Claire, you're basically talking about like non-judgmentalism, complete acceptance of the person, and almost unconditional love. Like a big part of BDSM as the dom, at least the way it seems like the three of us do it, is like literally accepting that person. How do you do that in a way where you are still saying like, here are the qualities that I want you to imbue or to be, here are the standards that I expect for you, and there will be some punishment if you don't meet those standards, but I won't hate you for it. Like I'll still accept that you were a little bit bratty. I'll accept that you didn't do what you were told, and I'll love you through that. Like there'll be consequences, but the consequences will come with love.
Exactly like that. Like with the communication. Like everything has to be so clearly communicated. And my communication skills improved vastly from doming and learning to work with different people. I thought I was okay with communication before, and then I started doming, and I was like, okay, wait, now I know what communication is. And literally just being transparent with that and being clear of like, hey, I'm not rejecting you as a person. I'm still welcoming you, and it's okay that you made a mistake, but this is what I want from you, and this is what we're working towards, and here's a consequence for you. Because the consequences are part of the structure that they need. Sometimes they do things on purpose to see if you're going to care enough to enforce what you said or if you're going to hold the structure and the boundaries. So you have to enforce it. You have to be consistent with all of those things.
I also find when you're like laying these expectations out and you're telling them like the things that we're doing are here to help you grow or become a better person, that sometimes that gets looked at as the person that they are now is not enough, or that they're less than, or something like that. And I've had to navigate letting them know I accept you as a person and you who you are, and helping them like pull apart their identity of like what they look like or what they do, skills that they have, and this immutable part of them as a human, part of humanity that we all accept and respect and love. We can improve these other things, but it doesn't mean that you're less than. And when I have expectations, it's because I believe in you enough to be able to do those things. It's not because I'm saying you're not enough, you have to be these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because this is the same as like my life coaching and stuff. You're saying I can see the potential in you, but who you are right now is more than enough. And I phrase it like this: you're great right now, you're perfect right now, and in the future you'll just be a little bit more. And that seems like a contradiction because you're like, but that means I'm not enough right now. It's like, no, we're not in the future yet. Things take time. Rome wasn't built in a day. If you want to be more confident, that will take time. That doesn't mean your future self is better than you right now. Although at the same time, yes, it does. Like, two things can be true at the same time. In the future, you will be more. Right now, you are enough. In the future, you'll be enough in that moment too. So it's sort of like, it seems like a paradox. The self-improvement paradox is you saying, I'm not enough right now, but you are. So it's like you're just wrapping it up in love. The same way when you were born, you didn't know how to walk. Now you know how to walk. Does that mean you sucked as a baby? No, you were perfect as a baby. Like, wow, I'm doing such a shit job as this baby. I can't even walk. I can't even feed myself. I can't even pay
Andy,
my
what
taxes.
kind of dom are you? Freaking degraded babies now.
Yeah. You just see baby. You see like a mother pushing her baby in the pram, and you just walk up. You're like, your baby sucks, woman. Like, you can't even hold a job. Like, yeah. But I guess back on topic. Okay, completely changing directions. You mentioned before that you have some male submissives, some female submissives. Like, do you work with one more than the other? Do you prefer working with one more than the other? How does the energy change between them?
I have a good mix of all genders. I've got trans and non-binary people too.
Mhm.
I think it's a very good mix between them. My South African clientele is more male, but internationally it's a nice blend of everything. I haven't really noticed a difference in energy, I think, because it boils down to the submissive energy. I don't, maybe it's also just me being autistic and not seeing gender in people and noticing that, but it's more about the person's energy for me than about their actual bits, that physically what they've got going on. Does that
And you're
make
still
sense?
the same. Yeah. Do you change? I guess that's my question. Do you change, or do you show up with the same energy each time? Like, do you literally think differently depending on the gender or the sexuality, or like?
No, I don't think so. I think I treat everyone basically the same. I don't have a preference with working with different people. It's honestly just, if a sub comes to me with the right energy and the right mind state, that curiosity and open-mindedness, then I'm happy to explore and play with them. The other stuff doesn't make sense. Doesn't really matter to me.
It might change the physical of what you're doing. Like, if someone has different genitals, you obviously, like, there's something different down there. But like, yeah, the energy is the same. I guess, do you change depending on the energy of the sub then? So like, if someone comes to you and they're just absolutely like a people pleaser and they're just like, please, Claire, please, like please like me, versus if someone comes and they're like, Claire, you're going to have to like make me do things, like that bratty energy. Does that change your sessions?
Absolutely, yes. I've sometimes said, and I didn't coin this term, someone else on TikTok said this, that they refer to themselves as like a chameleon dom, where like you adapt your style to the sub that you're playing with and what their needs are. So I kind of view myself as chameleon dom in that regard, where it's fully adapts to whoever I'm playing with. Very good and stimulating for the ADHD brain.
No, okay. Me too. So Brandon calls himself like a pleasure dom. I call myself a facilitator. Like, whatever experience they are coming to me for, I want to facilitate that. Like, would that be a good explanation of you and your style?
Yeah. Facilitator is amazing. That's an amazing term for it. Yeah. Well done.
Yeah. Again, I think people have. I'll quickly say.
Go ahead.
You're being a brat, Brandon. I will quickly say. Fuck, I lost it. Fine, there you go. I'm being a brat. Brandon, you go. I submit. You go, brother.
I was gonna say, there's a sex educator called Miss Jaya, and she has something called the blueprint quizzes. And one of the blueprints in there is called a shapeshifter, and it's basically somebody that can shift their sexual identity to better match their partners and what they want. And I'm definitely a person like that. However, the shadow side of that is you don't always get your needs fulfilled because you're always shifting to that other person. And I think part of my journey in being a Dom was learning to speak up and assert my needs and like create and facilitate sessions that also met those. One of the reasons that I love dominance and submission in the framework is because, at least for me as a Dom, I'm trying to facilitate something that meets both our needs. There's a mutual vision or goal that we have. And if that's in a single play session, it might be, extreme pleasure or something for both of us. But, I also do this stuff outside the bedroom. And so it might be an entire vision for our relationship or our life, depending on what we're doing. But the dynamic allowing, okay, we're both going to speak up for what we need and the things that we don't want and try and create some sort of action plan towards that is something that I love about this dynamic and framework.
Yeah.
Segueing a little bit, Claire, you were talking with one of your subs, I think Alan, again, in one of your videos, and you said, I care for each and every one of my submissives. I don't want to play with you if I don't care about you. I'm not going to enjoy it. You're not going to enjoy it. Have you ever had experiences where, like, for whatever reason, like, it doesn't matter what the reason is, where you feel almost like you don't care about the person, maybe just in that session, maybe in general, like, and how have you navigated that?
I've had a dynamic that I ended because of that. I ended up with compassion fatigue with this person. Because there was just like an absolute refusal to try from their side. And it was specifically, that was one of my development dynamics. And the refusal to try, and then 1 week it might be better, and then 2 weeks later it's done and dumps again. And it was just an endless cycle and refusal to try. And I got compassion fatigue with that. And I knew that this was not a good place for me to be in anymore. So I ended the dynamic with that person.
Yeah, I've had that once or twice with people that I've dated, and I've had that absolutely with coaching clients. Same thing. Exactly what you're talking about, where it's like, I'm really sad, I'm depressed, this sucks, my life sucks. And you're like, okay, I get that. I'm here, I'm listening. And you'll listen for hours and then, okay, like, how about we just try this one little baby step to start healing this thing? What if we get you out there to just talk to one stranger to start making some friends? Or like, what if we just get you to go to the gym? Or just we do one little baby step, and they go, I can't do that. It's too hard. It's not going to work, like, and all of that. And you keep being that loving presence, and you keep holding space and listening. And then compassion fatigue. Yeah, I haven't heard that term, but I think that's, yeah.
It's not great when it happens, because you don't want to be that person that gives up on them.
You don't want to quit on them, yeah.
You don't want to quit on them, but your energy is being sapped, and you need to hold that boundary for your energy.
I call it like emotional capacity. I only have, like, there is a limit to my emotional capacity, and I hate saying that because I want to be there for that person fully as I can. But if we go over that limit, now anything that I'm giving you actually isn't full 100%. Like, there's a little bit of resentment in there now. It's not 100% pure. It's not genuine. So like, if you want genuine, we have to stay within this capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of going through this right now. Like, I'll keep the details out of it, but like, I'm going through this in my personal life. And one of my best mates said this to me yesterday. He was like, mate, the dynamic that you're in right now with this person, you are trying to help them, but you've probably crossed over the boundary now where you're actually taking away from them, because it's coming from a place of like resentment a little bit, and like you wishing that they would just hurry up and change. You are probably just reinforcing that their own narrative that there's something wrong with them. I know you don't believe that, Andy. They believe that about themselves, but like, this continual effort to try and help them is now just reinforcing that they desperately need help, and like, fuck, and they're unhelpable, and they're a problem, and they're too depressed and all of that. He's like, probably the kindest thing you could do is either like give them space or cut it off, or like whatever you got to do. So yeah, like, I guess the three of us, I definitely get this sense from the two of you that like, you want to be there for people, you want to help them, you want to love them. And like, sometimes people just, I don't know, it's like they're not ready to be loved. They're not ready to feel good. I think we talked about that at the start of this episode. Like sometimes people will come to you with like a self-hatred energy of like, I'm a piece of shit. And no matter how much you try and lift them up, they might not want that or be ready for that is probably a kinder way of saying that. Claire, would you like to tell people where they can find more about you? Maybe your YouTube channel. Where can they sign up for your professional services and
Yes.
learn more about you?
I am here on YouTube. My handle is at Dom_Claire. And you can also check out my website. The link is in my bio on my YouTube, but it's also domclaire.com. So that's the easiest way to see everything I do.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Brandon, where can people find more of you, sir?
BrandonTheDom.com is where you can find all my writing and content. I'm also on YouTube at Brandon the Dom.
Amazing. Nice. I appreciate both of you. This was really cool. This was like this was like 10 times better than I thought it would be, and I already had high expectations. So like, thank you.
Awesome. That's amazing. I'm glad.
And thank you, Claire, for sharing all of this stuff that you did today and kind of like your insights. And it's just good for like Andy and I to get, different perspectives. So I really appreciate it.
Anytime, honestly, if you've got more stuff you want to do, I'm happy to do another evening.
All right. Thank you so much, Claire. We'll let you go to bed if you want to. That's not me telling you what to do.